Good morning, welcome along to the Punters Lounge Live and coverage of today's meeting, or previews at least, from Riccarton to Rapa. We're going to get you to Australia and get a little bit of a feel for today's Group 1 racing out of Adelaide. We'll also take you to Sydney and get the latest there as well, and also find out tips from all our venues with presenters and tipsters from all over Australasia today. The first person we're going to bring in is Stephen Hunt from the racing desk in Petone. And Stephen, it's a massive day of racing. We've got Te Rapa and Riccarton. What's getting punters excited?
I think the track conditions, firstly, Aidan, good morning to you and all viewers. A dead track up and down the country at Te Rapa and also Riccarton, which grows confidence in the terms of punters, and that equals high turnover, which I expect on both venues today. A couple of horses that they have targeted in early betting throughout the week and today. Starting off at Te Rapa, one of the features up and down the country, the listed 2-year-old race, number 1 Whiskey Neat. A lot of astute judges have this horse as their best bet today. Opened at $2.30 when betting commenced, Aidan, on Wednesday. He's now short as $2.10. Now, just crunching a few numbers around Whiskey Neat, the favourite with Michael Coleman doing the riding. He's rated around about a 48% chance as it stands at a $2.10 pot, but holds round about 70% of total turnover, which represents, from what I'm seeing in my risk manager, that he will start in that odds-on market. So maybe 210 also representing a bit of value, even though we're coming to Saturday midday. And down at Riccarton Race 3, the Rating 82 Sprint, they're pretty keen on more Wecker. Had a slight freshen up, opened at $4.50 on Thursday. It's been crunched in as the best bat runner down there, now trading at $3.40.
Geez, it's that is saying a fair bit about the Whiskey Neat money. What about the 2-year-old race at Riccarton? Is there one that they're really pushing along there?
Yeah, they're pretty keen for. Funny enough, we'll touch on it, but the Kirkland runner and Buck Shellfish. Now, interesting runner. We'll touch about the overall race in depth in the coming throughout the show. But just on that particular runner on Buck Shellfish, I think I opened around about $7 with us, or maybe $7.50, $8 earlier in the week from memory. Look, I think the punters feel a little bit shortchanged when it was scratched at Riverton, Aidan. I just feel that they've had to default to betting it in this particular race, which is a lot stronger at Riccarton, up against genuine race winners at listed venue, listed in the Champagne Stakes. So, yeah, interesting runner. I'm not sure where the price is going to end up with Buck Shellfish, but at the moment, pretty happy to lay it at around about that $6 price.
Okay, yeah, well, it was about $8.50 yesterday, so it's really interesting because I actually wondered whether that might have been the case where punters had, put their money on, got it back from a late scratching, and then thought, oh, we'll take it no matter what the price. And I wonder whether it's a sort of bet that's not really around the value that's there. Is that the way it sort of feels at the moment?
Yeah, I think that's the case. I think when it was late scratched, and we're only talking it was late scratch, I think around about 30 minutes out from when it was supposed to take its debut, or shape as its debut. I think it was the first race at Riverton, and we saw money right throughout the week, right throughout Saturday morning. For whatever reason, it was withdrawn late in the piece, and the money was clearly on. It was going to be one of the best bat runners at Riverton on their Saturday feature card. And yeah, I just feel it's a bit of default money in terms that they feel like they got shortchanged a few weeks ago. It comes up against a lot stronger race, against horses that have generally won one or two races, like the favourite and co. So, look, it's a steep challenge that horse has got, but from all accounts, it must be able to gallop. So, just not sure where that price will end up later on this afternoon.
Yeah, it just adds a really fascinating dimension to that race. Thanks for the early setup there. Stephen Hutt will be back with him throughout the morning as well, giving us updates on prices and also getting those markets as we go through them race by race with Brendan Popwell and also Greg O'Connor at our 2 meetings of Te Rapa and Riccarton today. Talking Riccarton, let's get you on track. Looks like a gorgeous Christchurch day as well. It's the aeroplane coming in. That might have Greg O'Connor on it. Let's hope. You never know, and he might well be on that plane, or maybe not. There's a suggestion he might be still in Auckland. Ooh, bit of fog. 19 degrees the high, fine with northeasterly winds. The track's a dead 5, and the running rail in the true position. You'll bet on meeting code 6 there at Riccarton today. Of course, Greg O'Connor at Alexandra Park last night. A huge night of harness racing there as well. Let's have you Looking at Tarapa and the weather and track here, 20 degrees a high, fine with light winds. The track, it's a dead 4, running rails out 3 metres. A little bit foggy here in Hamilton this morning as well, but a good program headed up by that listed 2-year-old race as well.
Here's the giant killer of the South, Prince Oz through the middle. He's gone straight by Prom Queen. Sensei runs on. Prince Oz, he is the man of the South Island. Prince Oz does it again. There is nothing this horse cannot do in the South Island. 8 Prince Oz, Terry Mosley.
This really meant a bit to you, didn't it? Because your salute over the line, we don't see that very often from you.
No, I don't. It's just been a special horse, you know, real special thanks to the Connors family and Neil Ridley. I mean, mate, he's a bloke that the government should give carbon credits because he just doesn't waste oxygen. He doesn't say much, and I know some men like him too.
A decent old horse, isn't he, Prince Oz, and he gives Terry Mosley a really strong chance there today, but he's got a pretty handy book overall, and we've called on Terry, and he's answered and picked up, and he's joining us on the Punters Lounge Live. Good morning to you, Terry. It looks like it's a nice enough day for Rick, and I guess you're looking forward to what is a really strong card there today.
Yeah, good morning, Aidan. Yeah, the track come up to the dead 5, and it's good fields today, and good betting, and it's going to be very, very hard for the punters to sort them out today.
Yeah. What about for you? We're going to go through your book of rides very shortly, but how's it come up overall? What are your thoughts on your book of rides?
Oh, I think I've got a very nice, strong book of rides. I think I've got 3 realistic chances, and I've got 7 rides, and I think 2 or 3 of the others are good place chances, and no reason why they can't win either.
Yeah, we're looking at your prices as well. We've got 4 of them are under $10, including Red Rose Warrior, who kicks you off for Neil Ridley. You've had a really good association with Neil too, Terry, and here's a horse who came back from Hong Kong, looked really good first up in the South, and the last start third at Riccarton was a pretty encouraging effort as well. What are you making about how this horse is progressing?
Yes, the last start third was a very good run. The 2 starts before that, when it's missed, was down on the inside on a wet track, and then the start before 3 wide, ran a good second at Trentmere Cup meeting. First time over ground here in New Zealand, but he did have start his career in England and did win over a mile and a quarter there. So I'll suggest as for punters, I don't think that'll be a real big problem. I think on the strength of that, he'll be a very, very good ride.
I know you've done your homework because that's what we've got you on. Where do you think you'll be positioning up in this race?
John won. He can put himself in the race a wee bit, so if I'm 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, I'll be happy. I'll just ride him wherever he's comfortable.
Okay, one thing we did mention was just about your association with Neil Ridley. It's been quite a fruitful one for you. What's it like? Sort of give us some insight into Neil and the way that he approaches race day. What's he like, to deal with when you get to Riccarton?
Well, as I said, any day Neil's just a man of few words. He doesn't say nothing. A couple of times I've put him inside. He says, He just goes like that. He says, just ride what's in front of you. And very easy to ride for Neil. And love riding for him too, because he produces his horse as well. And I've had a good association with Neil over the years. And I just love riding for him.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one thing. It must give you confidence as a jockey. You can turn up knowing that Neil's produced them in really good order. Let's move you on to the second, Terry, and have a look at the market for this one. Also, just get your thoughts on your ride here, Irish Express. Was terrific last time out. It came from a long way back, Terry, on this occasion. You got it at $5 and $2 and one of the key favourites in the race. But what did he show you in that closing stages when he's really put that race to bed?
Well, to be fair, just coming back a step, the start before he was probably certainly beat at Ashburton. Probably my own fault. I dug him up and he over-raced a wee bit. He'll get back a wee bit in his race, drawn out a wee bit. He'll get back a wee bit, but he likes a little bit of room, so he's better off coming round them too. So, look, the only chink in his armour, perhaps he's got a very good record at Riccarton. He's won 3 out of 3 there, but they have been on heavy tracks, so it's a little bit better track today. That's probably the only chink in his armour, but to be fair, he's still got to be a good ride. He won very emphatic last start, so I think he's a very good ride.
He seemed to be doing it so effortlessly. You got to the leaders really well, and he's just bolted away from them. What sort of feel did he give you?
Probably that's the thing, you don't feel him quicken that much, but he's just a big, strong horse, and as he lets down, the stride just lengthens, and like once again, he just won very emphatically and won very good, and can be a very good feel at Riccarton last start.
Okay, today you stay in rating 65 grade, but you're going up that extra 2.5 kilograms to carry 59.5. What are your thoughts on the weight?
Oh, look, I never get too carried away about weights. If a horse ride, I think on the day, if you got a little horse, maybe the odd one wants a relief, and probably in the winter time they do use it more too. But I'm not too beat up over the weight. I think you'll carry it.
Okay, let's move you on to the third, Terry, and again, a really key ride here. I thought On Point's last start run had a lot of merit in running fourth, and you just think that there's a horse who's going to improve into this. Was that the sort of feel you got of her last time out, that she would take benefit out of that run?
I'm just going back. I hear he's talking about it on first call today, and I think he's pretty much bang on the money. The second run record probably not that great, but look, her first up run was a very brilliant run. If anything, I thought she was going to win at the furlong. She just knocked up the last little bit, but you got to remember that was in an open class field, and probably as nice a field as was assembled down here. So she drops back to an 82 rating today, and look, if she runs up the strength of her first up run, I think she can win.
Yeah, well, you're only agreeing with me because I put it on top, Terry, to be fair, but tell you what's really encouraging, that you're watching the first call and you're getting your form out of it, so that's good. What about where we met the horse? I think I had the horse 3 back the fence. Where do you sort of see the horse positioning up?
Drawn 4, she might just end up just in behind the leaders. She perhaps was a little bit fresh last start, so she may be 4th, 5th or 6th, somewhere in about there probably as well.
Okay, we're going to move you on to the first of those two.
It's a very good run, and she doesn't have to do much to improve to win.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll move you on to the Champagne Stakes, Terry, and just get your thoughts on this race. We'll just have a look at the market here, and you can see that Kitan Warrior is at $13. When we looked at their last start race in behind Trifolium, we did see the runner-up All About Magic really getting away from you in the closing stages. Is there anything that's giving you confidence that you're able to turn the tables on the favourite here?
He drew 1 last start, and the track was probably just a little wee bit off on the inside. I was talking to Lance through the week, and he raced just a little bit keenly too, and Lance said he thought he might have had him underdone, and he might have been a wee bit on the fresh side. Look, to be honest, he's probably got to improve a wee bit to win. I think there is some improvement. Leading up just before Cup Week, he did run a credible third behind Miss Federer, which has gone on to get black type. Like I said, he does have to improve a little bit, but I think he'll give a pretty good account of himself. He's trained on well since, and as I said, last year said he sort of blamed himself. He thought he might have him a wee bit fresh and a wee bit underdone last start too.
Yeah, what's he like to ride?
Lovely little horse. He's not overly big in stature. Just working with him through the last few months, he's probably just gone from a boy that's sort of starting to grow into a man a little bit. He'll go out for a spell after today. There's not really a lot left around for him, but I think he's got to make it a nice 3-year-old just the same. Okay,
talking about 3-year-old, is he a horse who could come back and be sort of competitive in those key sort of southern lead-ups into Guineas races? Is that the type of horse he could develop into?
Possibly. It's up to him. Like I said, he's not overly big in stature, but I think he will grow a wee bit more when he goes out, and it's probably up to him when he comes back. But he has shown a little bit. Don't worry about that. Yeah,
I guess one of the rides you're most looking forward to today is Prince Oz in that Daphne Bannon Memorial Great Easter Stakes. He's a horse who put them together in a row for you last year, Terry, as well. And we remember, most of all the Cup Week run, which was superb. Just tell us about the form leading into today. What are your thoughts on sort of how he measures up in this race?
Very, very happy with him last start. He won 7 in a row, and when he went to Wellington, when he came back, I didn't notice it, but talking to a couple of people, he said, look, he's just lightened up a wee bit. He went down to the need, and he probably just run a little bit under par there. Neil's backed off the horse. He came into the race last start, and he just gave me a magnificent feel. It was nice to see him run, even though he got beat. He got beat by Neil's other horse, He Can Fly, which has done a sensational job for him through the season too, winning black type. So it was a very, very handy field. Like I said, he backed off him a wee bit, put a bit of weight back on him, and to be fair, at the furlong I thought he was very much like On Point. He was going to win. May have just picked on his run, stepping up to 1400 today, but I don't think that'll be a big problem for him. And lovely horse to ride, and I think he can turn it around and do the job today.
Okay, that's really encouraging to hear. I know you don't measure too much on weights, but just tell me, there is a kilogram swing towards him over He Can Fly. Does that make too much difference in this, or do you think that it's sort of negligible?
Oh, look, once again, I never get too carried away on weights. If the horse is right, they'll carry it. I'm a great believer of that. But, no doubt when they get up there, it does take its toll a little bit, I suppose. But having said that, I think the encouraging part was a very, very good second. I thought at the furlong he had He Can Fly beat, and he just peaked on his run. But like I said, he's had to back off and freshen him up, put a little bit of weight back on the horse. But he's given me a very, very, very good feel, and I think he can turn it around.
Sounds like you got some confidence there. Just tell us, who was the best of your rides today in your mind?
Oh, I think First School got it right. Prince Oz and On Point would probably be best too. But look, the other supporting rides, I think I've got a very good book of rides. But if I was to put them on top, I'd probably have to have Prince Oz because he can just handle any sort of going. Whereas perhaps On Point might just prefer a little wee bit wetter, but has one on dead track too. So no, I think they're my two best rides. But I've got a good supporting book of rides around it as well.
Oh, you're saying all the right things, Terry. We're going to get you on more often. You can keep promoting our First Call show as well. Hey, best of luck for today, and thanks for joining us here on the Punters Lounge.
I think they're good. They're hard punting fields with some of the fields today, so good luck to all the punters that they get a winner.
Okay, Terry Mosley joining us here on TPL Live, and great to have him too, giving us what was some really good insight into some of those key races out of Riccarton today. Okay, just a reminder as well that TPL Live is brought to you in association with Valachi Downs, and a couple of key runners for them in today's listed race at Te Rapa. We'll get to that shortly as well. Stephen Hunt will rejoin us now from the racing desk in Petone. Geez, he's given us a couple of pushes there, Terry Mosley too, especially around Prince Oz. How's the market been shaping around that horse?
You're well supported on that third line of betting at $5.50, Aidan. If there was a little bit of a push I could give from a Terry Mosley ride, he's got the 7 rides today, is our Teddy Boy at longer odds, $18 trading in race 7, the rating 82 mile. Has been runner-up in its last 2, our Teddy Boy. Nice little each way quote, $18. You can also go on that top 3 price. I think it's around about $4 currently on our Teddy Boy. So there's one at longer odds if the race was to jump right now, race 7. There's a nice little liability in the favour of the punters around that particular runner. In terms of the jockey challenge, Terry Mosley sits on that third line of betting at $10 in behind Lisa Allpress and Chris Johnson. Look, Lisa Allpress, she's going to be awfully hard to beat. She's flying at the minute, Aidan, which I know is for great for you as being her manager in the last 7 days. I think she's calculated 8 wins, 3 at Wanganui on Wednesday, and then I think she calculated 5 wins over the Marlborough Carnival late last week, Lisa Allpress, and I can see that smile there. Very chuffed about your work, Aidan. But look, she's going to be hard to beat. 9 rides in total today up and down the card, so she's got a ride in each race. The likes of Smiling Assassin and Thom Brown early in the card represent very good chances. More Wicker we've already touched on at the top of the show, and also all about Magic and one of the features there. So she's going to be hard to beat, and that's why her price currently is $1.52.
Yep, they've just asked me what's her best. I think it's in the 2-year-old. I think All About Magic is her best. I think she's, I know we've talked about Buck Shellfish, but just on paper it looks to be her standout ride. But yeah, interesting to see that money for to Terry Mosley too, and he does have a decent book. Stay with us, Stephen. We'll get back to you and talk about other races and other key movements and markets as we continue here on the Punters Lounge.
It's like I just can't miss. I was made for this. I show the world I'm stronger. I woke up this morning and got myself a gun. Mama always said I'd be the chosen one. 1 in a million, I believe I'm gonna
Oh dear. Tony, I hope you're not sitting in front of a TV. Where do we catch you up with you this morning? Tony Pike joining us here on TPL Live. Good morning to you. Where are you, Tony?
Morning, Aidan. We just got back from the track and just about to have a shower and head down to the coast.
Okay, yeah. So, you're in Australia, ready for today's meeting now?
Yeah, no, I came over late last night, flew over with Leaf on the last flight out of Auckland last night, and just went and saw how the horses settled in after their flight yesterday. And yeah, we just got back from the track and probably head off in about an hour down to the Gold Coast.
Okay, we'll get on to Australia shortly, but we'll kick off with your Te Rapa runners, Tony, because you've got key runners domestically as well. We'll begin in the third of the program, and this one is the BG Pay. Thanks for the support, 1200. And Merlini here at 7 and 2:30, Vinnie Colgan to do the riding. Just give us a little bit of a line on how he's going. He just seems to be a horse who's won 3 or 14, but he's showing he's got all this ability. He sometimes doesn't put it together. How's he doing?
Yeah, no, he's not a straightforward horse, Aidan. He still does quite a bit wrong in his races, but to be fair, he'd had a little bit of a freshen up heading into his last start, and he led clearly, and then was taken on pretty much from the half mile until halfway down the straight. That horse dropped out and ran tailed off, and he's fought on reasonably well for so he'll strip a lot fitter for that. Looks at a lot of pace in this race today. Obviously, he is an own leader. We'll just use his early speed and then leave it up to Vinny to assess it from there. But look, on his best day, he's a talented horse, and wouldn't surprise me to see him winning. And lots of small but reasonably strong field today.
Yeah, exactly. So that does make it a little bit different with that extra speed in the race, isn't it? So could it be possible that he takes a sit, or is there a horse who doesn't really enjoy that?
Look, he's won it. I think he took a sit at Wellington one day and won. So, look, he can do. Obviously, he's got such brilliant gate speed and natural speed that he'll probably land in front for the first furlong of the race anyway. And then it's going to be up to Vinny if he thinks they're just going a little bit too quick or whether he holds the front.
Okay, their intent is really interesting, and it's going to be really interesting in our feature as well. That's the listed Waikato Equine Veterinary Centre Stakes. And Whiskey Neats, obviously, he's a class horse of the race, but how he sort of fits into this race is interesting. Will he lead? That's the most important question for me, I think.
Look, he's just such a brilliant horse with a massive action on him. He'll go forward for sure. And again, look, at least Mickey's now had a ride on him at Te Tico Trials. He trialled out well. I do think he's almost a little bit better left-handed. He probably showed that in his first start at ATAC. He just tends to get a little bit lost off the ride or right-handed. So I think the left-handed way of going is going to be a real advantage to him. So look, if he leads, that's fine, but that's going to be completely up to Mickey, obviously depending on the tempo of the race. But he's got such a high cruising speed, I'd be surprised if many of those 2-year-olds can probably match that cruising speed with him, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I think what you're saying about left-handed, right-handed might have been borne out a little bit in that trial, because he just had his head to the side a little bit as he came down the straight at Te Teko, didn't he? But what did you make of what he showed you at Te Teko?
Yeah, look, I was wrapped. Obviously, he needed that hit out. He had a nice blow afterwards, and that'll tie him up nicely for this weekend. Look, I was very happy with his trial. He did take a sit outside the leader and relax nicely. And look, Mickey didn't have to do a lot on him, to be fair. The track was probably testing enough that day, and he just dashed into the line, but he did it and did it very comfortably. So he'll strip a lot fitter today, and that should just have him spot on for today's race. So look, from a reasonable gate, he should be a big chance.
Okay, we're just having a look at that trial, Tony. But just tell me the one miss that he's had in the Karaka Million. What happened that day?
It probably just came to the end of his preparation, I think, Aidan. Although he's been brilliant in his first start and won the Eclipse Stakes, if you look at the horse physically, he's probably not a natural 2-year-old type. He's quite a big, scopy horse, and probably going to the Karaka Million. He did miss the kick that day, which probably wasn't ideal. He's normally a lot more brilliant from the gates, and probably in hindsight, I probably knew that heading into the race. He was still working well, but he was sleeping a lot and probably just starting to go through a bit of a growing stage. So I think mainly it was just to do with the horse coming towards the end of his preparation, and he's obviously had a nice break trial well coming back today, and look, ideally he wins and wins well today, and then we can decide whether he goes to Brisbane, but I'm also leaning to giving him a spell and back for the 3-year-old series.
If you did decide against that break, what would you look at? Is it QTC size and maybe a look at the JJ Atkins, or what would it be if you do decide against the break?
Look, probably the size produce would be his race, 1,400 metres round Toowoomba. Look, whether he'd stretch to a mile at this point in his preparation, a little bit unsure. So, look, just want to really get through today and see how he performs and how he pulls up, and then we'll make some decisions going forward from there.
Okay, well, best of luck with the mini here, Tony. You've already got a team, as you said, in Queensland at the moment. We did have, I think, a few of those horses heading over on Friday. First and foremost, how have they travelled and arrived in Queensland?
But really pleased. The plane was on time, so I think it was about a 9.5-hour trip door to door. So really not a lot longer than probably a trip from the Waikato to Trenton for the races, and obviously a lot easier, standing still on the plane than winding your way down to Wellington on a float. So, wrapped with the way they travelled. They've all eaten up overnight and seemed nice and bright this morning. So, you haven't really taken any harm from it. I haven't run horses off the plane, obviously the day after in Queensland before, but just due to programming and the plane schedules, we sort of had to do it today. So a lot was banking on the plane being on time and on schedule, which it was. So really happy with them both today, and it's going to be an interesting day. There's been a bit of rain down at the coast, so they're calling it a heavy 8, and a few more showers forecast today. So it's obviously going to probably play into Indecision's hands, and Intrigue does handle a bit of cut in the ground, and she's obviously extremely fit as well. So it'll be an interesting day's racing.
Yeah, exactly. Intrigue goes around in that Gold Coast bracelet, and geez, her form's been good, isn't it? She's really created an impression with those 2 wins, leading to that last start second in the Championship Stakes. And you took it to Te Rapa as well and gave her an exhibition gallop. That was a rain-affected track that day. What did you make of what she did?
Yeah, I was wrapped in her exhibition gallop. She obviously worked with Terra Sancta, who, she's a good mare in her own right, and worked extremely well. She's a very fit 3-year-old, holding her condition well, and she just seems to be improving with each run. So obviously stepped up to Group 2 company, and midly beaten quite comfortably by Lord Arthur, but they ran along pretty hard that day and then split that back to third. So the form suggests she should be competitive with a 3-year-old staying fillies here in Queensland, and she looks fantastic this morning. So I'll be disappointed if she doesn't run a big race.
Of course, those Mark Wyborn colours that you've had success in Queensland with Provocative. How do you shape what her preparation is over there? What's in store for her?
Look, obviously it'd be nice if she can probably run first or second today, because that gives us some options with prize money. That's probably going to guarantee her a start in the Queensland Oaks. Then we can obviously see how she pulls up and pick and choose where we head to from there, whether it's the Roses into the Oaks or even maybe a par 3 on the Colts races. So just want to get through today, and hopefully she performs well and put some money in the bank, which guarantees the Oaks start, and then it's obviously going to make our job a lot easier heading down that path.
We've got Stephen Hunt standing by, and he's just wanting to know whether he should be shortening the horse up for the Derby more than the Oaks or the other way around. What's your suggestion?
Look, obviously this was a big query over Provocative when she was in the Oaks, and they actually intentionally she was going to run in the Oaks and back up in the Derby, but the Oaks meeting and Stradbroke meeting got washed out that year, and they were both on the same day, so that sort of stopped our decision. So look, if she won and won well today, I'd say she'll definitely get to the Oaks, and there's even a possibility she could back up in the Derby a week later.
Okay, that's good. And if not, we'll just let the stable money do the talking, and Stephen can find out when his bells start ringing, I guess. So, also, Indecision, what about her today? What are you thinking?
Look, she trialled up brilliantly at RTR meeting, albeit obviously wasn't a strong barrier trial field, but she ran good time and did it very comfortably with a heavyweight jockey on that day as well. So pretty confident she could run a nice race today. She'll obviously love the rain-affected track conditions. Her exhibition gallop at Te Rapa last Saturday was outstanding. So it's always hard bringing sprinters to Australia, but against your own age group, it'd be fantastic if she could gain some Australian black type for Trelawney, Stud and Co. Before she heads to the Broodmare paddock in the spring.
Yeah, so that's Indecision on the outside in this exhibition gallop. Who's the horse on the inside again that you had at the same time?
Everloyal.
Yeah, it was Everloyal. So obviously you've got Everloyal, you've got Endless Drama, others as well over there. So what's coming up in the next few weeks for the team?
Look, obviously next Saturday is the June 10,000 meeting. Bostonian's nominated for that race. Obviously Nature's Strip and Osborne Bulls probably running that race, and obviously they're extremely hard to beat. Probably not saying to win that race over 1,200 metres, but we might use that as a lead into possibly a Stradbroke. It's probably going to come up a relatively small field because of those, but a lot of that will be dependent on how he works on Tuesday, whether he runs in the 10,000 or waits a week to the big RC sprint. But Terra Sancta will kick off next weekend in the members handicap over a mile, and then we'll have quite a few runners on the 18th.
Okay, I really appreciate you giving us the time, Tony. Best of luck with your runners on both sides of the Tasman today, and also in the coming weeks as well as you continue to develop the Queensland team. Okay, we'll have a look shortly at the Jockeys Challenge there. We'll also get you to Morphettville very shortly here on the Punters Lounge Live and have a look at some of those Group 1 races from South Australia.
Scholes out wide, moved up and ran to the lead here and burst away Scholes. From running to second, Secret Agenda, Mike a little late, but Scholes wins effortlessly. Suppressor going up now, running on late down the outside. She's dashing with Miss Aberration, but Suppressor for Harry Coffey, the jockey who overcame adversity, wins his first Group 1.
What a day of racing we've got coming up in Adelaide as well, and it is headed by that TB Classic, which is regularly known as the Robert Sangster Stakes, Group 1 for the fillies and mares as well. And we're going to the source, to racing.com's James Jordan, to take us through the program. James, thanks for joining us here on TPL Live this morning. And geez, this is one of those days what you must really look forward to every year in Adelaide.
Yeah, it's a great day and pleasure to be with you guys. Yeah, today it obviously kicks off and we've got the next 2 Saturdays with some Group 1 racing as well. But good to see this time of year all the interstate horses come over to take the prize money back. But we get good fields, deep fields, and hopefully some good betting races.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what about that TAB Classic or the Robert Sangster? What are you thinking? How have you sort of assessed it form-wise?
Well, it's a pretty deep race. Actually, Sunlight was a sort of late, or pulled out late earlier in the week, but it's sort of, as much as it's taken a bit of quality out of it, it's actually made it a really good betting race. So there's a host of chances. I'm with Sprite, the toppy, but a little bit worried about the track condition. I think she's such a brilliant horse with great acceleration that if the track becomes softer, it just dulls her acceleration. So I'm hoping it's currently a soft 5. I'm hoping it stays in a soft 5 range. I think she's the one to beat. But I do rate a couple of 3-year-olds down the bottom. Not as keen on Lady Cosmology, which is over from Perth. It's been sort of $8 into $5. I'm happy to lean away from her. But I think Anjana and Thrillster, they're both capable of beating Sprite. Then a bit of a gap back to Cool Passion. But I think Sprite, if the track's firm enough, will win. Otherwise, I reckon one of those 3-year-olds down the bottom can win it.
Okay, is there anything else out of left field that sort of might be able to sort of throw up as a danger?
Look, given that it's weight for age, it's hard to really pluck one. I mean, you've got horses like Jamaican Rain that are probably next in the market that's went around short in the Cornwall Legacy, the Group 1 in Sydney last start, but she probably needs it a bit wetter. And outside of them, you've sort of got them covered. I think Sprite's got the best acceleration in the race. I think Anjana and Thrillster are probably get the kilo and a half off underweight for age. They're probably the 2 next best horses in the race anyway. So I do find it hard to go outside them. Cool Passion trialled really well in the lead up to this, beat Sunlight in the trial, and she'll be forward. She'll probably have a 3-length head start from the majority of those chances. But I still think that Sprite and then Anjana Thrillster, they're the 3 I'm looking at.
Also, the Group 1 Australasian Oaks in the program as well. That's race 6, and we'll have a look at the market for you here as it stands in New Zealand. Princess Jenny, it's a 3.10 favourite on the back of those last couple of wins. You've got Aranguri at $5, $6.50 about Arisia as well. How have you assessed the Oaks here, James?
Well, this race generally, I mean, looking back the last 7 or 8 years, I think the longest price winner to win a race is $8. Again, given that it's set weights and 3-year-old fillies are trying to stay, it's rare that you get a rough result. It's generally the best horse in the race that can win it. So I think Princess Jenny deserves to be favourite. I've got a mark 320. She's basically 320. Drawn bad gates to past 3, 12, 14 and 13, the last 3 starts, which draws to jump from gate 3 today. So she won't have to drift as far back as she has been. Damon Oliver's obviously the right jockey to have on in a Group 1 from an inside gate. You don't want panic to set in. There'll be horses around her. She's not going to lead. She'll be probably box seat or maybe a pair further back. And there'll be times where it'll be a nervous watch because she'll need a gap, but he's the right man to steer her. So I think she's clearly the one to beat. Amangiri was luckless last start in Sydney and was ridden with a bit of cover. Had been leading in a start prior to that. I actually think she went better with cover. Not sure what they'll do with her, that inside gate. They might be wary of being held up again and try and go forward on her. But if she's ridden with cover, she's probably the main danger. And, Shawnee, the market's probably correct there. Aristia, I'm happy to give a wide berth to. I know she was a VRC Oaks winner of last season, but I thought her run last start was the run of a horse that's probably tired late and drops back in trip, comes back from Sydney, to Adelaide, obviously based in Melbourne. I think she's under the odds, so I'm happy to give her a wide berth. One of the price that I think will run a race is Sizzle Me. It's $23. It's come down to the Aurora Stakes, which is the local lead-up, if you like. It was won by Moret. I think Sizzle Me was a better run going forward, and she's one of those horses that will push forward from a wide gate. She's tough. She can sustain a run, and she was probably the best closer in the VRC Oaks of last season. So Sizzle Me is the best each way in the race at $23, but I think that Princess Jenny, provided she gets a little bit of luck, she's definitely the one to beat.
Like that, 3-year-old filly, New Zealand bred too by the Sunlight Trust, and High Chaparral out of the Isabel mare in Glitzerbel should mean that she'll stay okay. Hand us out how you've sort of suggested maybe 2 or 3 best bets for our punters here, James.
Well, I think Princess Jenny will be very, very hard to beat. I'm happy enough to back her and tip her on top. Outside of that, looking at the rest of the card, I think in race 5, a filly down the bottom, Music Bay, she's at her best. She's not far off a Group 1 horse. She's in the Queen of the South, which is a Group 2 level over a mile. But being a 3-year-old, she carries 53 kilos. The top weight and favourite Spanish Reese is going to have to give her 5.5 kilos. And I just think if Music Bay gets a bit of room, which she should from gate 6. I can see her settling one off the fence. Craig Williams steers. I think if it gets her into the open in enough time, she's got the ability to win it. So I'm happy to be with Music Bay in race 5. You can back her each way. I don't think there's too many chances in the race, and it will be, she'll probably be 220, 230 to play. So I'm happy to back Music Bay in race 5, each way, pardon me. And in the last race, it's probably the race of the day, the Euclid Stakes. It's only a Group 2, but it's getting stronger and stronger every year, this race. And I think we've got a cracking field for it. Got horses from Perth, obviously Sydney and Melbourne. But the way I'm going is with Behemoth, who's another local. It's quite an amazing pinhooking story gone wrong, really. They paid $120,000 for it as a weanling. They sold it the following year at the yearling sales for $6,000. Bought by Grand Syndicates. It's really progressive, and I think it's drawn out wide. By the end of the day, I think they might be getting off the fence. So gate 12 might not be a bad thing for Behemoth, and he's an enormous horse. He's well named, so he'll get to the outside and hopefully have an unimpeded run. I think he's a good chance as well.
Geez, that is a story and a half, isn't it? Thanks for joining us here, James, and best of luck with your selections today. Princess Jenny on top as best bet of the program for Racing.com's James Jordan. Thanks for having us with them. Have a look at the Karaka Kiwis as well out of Morpheville today in the Group 1 Australasian Oaks. Princess Jenny, there we go, consigned by Phoenix Park and purchased for $120,000 at the National Yearling Sales. So we've got Zalate there and Arctic Shook as well, Medaglia d'Oro through Blanford Lodge and bought by Mulcaster Bloodstock and the Kaha Syndicate, and Arctic Shock there consigned by Seaton Park out there at Morrinsville, shocking out of Art Pete as well. So best of luck to all those Kiwi connections in the Group 1 races out of Morpheville today. Okay, we're going to take a short break, I think. Now we're going to get Ben Asghari selections as well. So there, race 5, best bet, number 1, Grinzinga Star. Ethan Brown does the riding there. Other bets there, race 8, he's got Pakadali and 14, King's Full. And in race 9, 1, Man of His Word and Spirit of Quada as well. Races 5, 8 and 9. Interesting to see the Kiwi contingent there in Flemington today as well. Filar, the last start, Hawke's Bay Cup winner, goes around in the Brew Handicap over 2,600 metres, race 7. So good luck to Stephen Marsh and his team of owners there around Filar. Okay, for us now, we might head you off to get Brad Gray's thoughts. Here's Sydney, so race 9, number 10, Agassi. His top selection there in the 9th with Tommy Berry to ride. And his other bets today, race 2, taking 7, Exceltic, and race 5, number 9, Kappa Jack. So races 9, 2 and 5 for Brad Gray, giving us selections out of Sydney today. So our thanks to those giving us selections from Australia here on TPL Live. Taking a short break before we get stuck into the New Zealand preview.
I was made for this. I show the world I'm stronger. Prove it to 'em I'm a fighter. Is it now? Am I the hour? Am I standing here holding the power? Show my love, how love me. Show my love, how love me. Show my
I'm not so sure if that's the same plane or not, but we're getting planes coming into Christchurch, including one that did carry Greg O'Connor in this morning as well. There was early fog in Auckland, but yeah, A-OK, he's there. We're under an hour away from the first of the program there at Riccarton. To take us through it, we say good morning to you, Greg. Geez, great night of harness racing last night, but today the focus turns to the other code.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Aidan, and to the viewers. Was great fun last night at the park. More on the box seat about that on Wednesday night. But today at Riccarton Park, we have an exceptional program, of course, highlighted by a couple of $50,000 features. The Berkeley Stud Champagne for the 2-year-olds, which is a pretty deep race this year. So looking forward to getting into the preview of that, along with the Great Autumn, which over the 2,500 metres should be a terrific staying contest once again. And later on in the program, we have a deep 8th on the program over the 1,400 metres, which is, of course, the Daphne Bannon Memorial. Looking forward to that race as well. Let's get into it, Aidan.
Yeah, for sure. And like you say, Greg, there's a lot of depth right throughout the card, and they are good races. We'll bring Stephen Hunt in to have a look through these markets with us as well, including the first, which is this one, the High Gain Motivate Premier over the 2,000 metres. Smiling Assassin at 550, 215 comes up favourite ahead of Upscale, who's gone well in those Southern Guineas races at $6. Red Rose Warrior at $6.50 and $2.40. Stephen Hunt back with us. Stephen, what's the market lead on the first?
The big talking point is around number 9, Upscale, the 3-year-old filly taking on the older horses at rating 72 grade. Went up favourite during the week at $5.58, and it's gone out of turn to $6. Now sits in that second line of betting where Smiling Assassin opened at $7, is now top line at $5.50. So a nice move around number 1, Smiling Assassin. Lisa Allpress doing the riding. Quite a deep field, many chances according to punters. A lot of speaking around Red Rose Warrior, $5.50. Got as high as 7, bought back into $6.50. Tony Two Chips, well supported, 8 into 7, particularly in the last hour or so around Tony Two Chips. Red River Rock from barrier 10, you'll know he'll get back from that draw as he tends to do. But again, warm support this morning, 9 into 8. A little bit of speaking around All But Me, 18 into 15. And Welcome at that $18 quote is currently a losing liability. So outside the fave, they're willing to spec 4 or 5 runners also over the 2,000 metres.
Okay, really interesting. Let's have a look at the speed map for you in the opener as well. All But Me likely to get forward, and I guess that's where there is a little bit of support around. Upscale not with a great deal of early speed. And what about Smiling Assassin? Much the same. Interesting to see that market lead on Smiling Assassin, the first of a strong team for Michael and Matthew Pittman there today, Greg.
Yeah, definitely, and we'll catch up with Matt leading into about race number 4, because as per the norm, when the money's up, they're here at Riccarton Park and they are the stable to follow. So we'll get as much information as we possibly can from him. In the first, I actually went with Tony Two Chips. Of course, the Andertons have a great record here. Well, they have a great record everywhere, Aidan, but Tony Two Chips through this carnival has raced particularly well. Corey Campbell back on board today means he claims 2, and I think he's a terrific each-way chance, but there's many in this race. Red River Rock, definite chance in it, gets back, as you quite rightly point out, Stephen, but will be charging home. Top of the book, Smiling Assassin, yes, it's definitely got a chance, and the Luster back in winning form last time. But for me, the each-way bet in the first is Tony Two Chips. I think his price is about right.
Okay, nice price too. Let's get you on to the second. This is the Blue Star Taxi's premiere over the 1600 metres, and favouritism with the 5, the Growler. Tough old gate there, out there 17. Jason Laking to ride at 480 and 195. I'll have to do work at some point. You're getting Irish Express at $5, also from a wide gate. Tom Brown from an inside gate for Lisa Allpress at $5, and Elmo Costa, interesting runner here, another from a wide gate. This one brought down by Mike Brisbane from Awapuni, with Jonathan Parks doing the riding. There's a few Northerners down there today, Stephen. Is there money for Elmo Costa?
Not at this stage, Aidan, even though you've got a $4.80 favourite in the Growler, who opened notably at $7.50, so a nice market mover around the Growler, who, to be honest, has been well supported since moving down the south, and it's been a horse that's probably gone in the favour of the bookies a lot of the times, the fact that it hasn't done the job yet since going down south, but they're willing to go again, probably back at Riccarton. It just found Blenheim just a bit too tight around the circumference of that particular surface, but the Growler, they're pretty keen back to Riccarton, $7.50 into 4.8. Irish Express, who opened favourite at $5, got as high as 5.5, just back into the opening line of $5. Thom Brown's been the one that's been well spec'd this morning, Aidan. If there was a lead in the last hour or two, it is round number 8 in Thom Brown, $7.50, now short as $5. So if there was a lead, Thom Brown well supported today. During the week, the Growler, Irish Express, even though it opened fave, and that's still in that second line of betting, and betting in terms of right in the mix, it might be running for us outside those top 3 in the market.
Okay, interesting that money, especially because Tom Brown and the Growler did clash last time out as well. There's a 2 kilogram swing in the favour, I think, of the Growler, if I've got that right. No, it's a half a kilogram swing on a 2-length margin. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Let's have a look at the speed map and see if that can't give us a lead here with Miss Diorella heading forward. Look at those wide draws. The Growler, Elmo Costa out there as well. Irish Express also out there as well. So that'll make a difference. And Tom Brown drawn barrier 3. They should be able to take up a handier position, you'd think, today. It's an interesting clash, isn't it, again, between the Growler and Tom Brown, but it's not just down to those two, Greg.
Yeah, both clearly in the mix here, Aidan. I settled with the Growler. You have to have a look at his run here and his only run at Riccarton Park, 2 starts back. Absolutely charged home behind Frankie the Fox, who's in again today, and not without a chance either. So Mark Mack's gone for the Growler on top as well. I know it's drawn wide, but I actually spoke to Mike Bresnan about Elmo Costa, and it's in the same boat here. Really like the way this horse has gone in its 2 starts. Mike said very laid back. The trip away will clearly make the horse, but he's got a bit of time for him, so I've got him in the mix too, and he absolutely could win this race. Jonathan Parks, good strong rider. Irish Express, I know his winning form has always been on heavy tracks, particularly here at Riccarton Park obviously, but he does go good enough when the tracks are a bit better, and you only have to look at his Ashburton run a couple back to remind you of that. So don't discount his chances, and clearly Tom Brown with Lisa Allpress aboard. Her book of rides here at Riccarton Park has seen her open up, I think it was $1.52, Aidan, and she'll well and truly justify that, I'm sure, today.
Yeah, and a lot of them that she knows too. I think just about the lot of them she's ridden at her last start. So moving on to the third, this one, the El Duto Rising Stars Premiere over the 1,200 metres. More Wecker at 340 and 160. Allpress was aboard this horse for a last start win. I think we saw Lee Calloway jump on for that trial win. I think Tatt'll Do at 650, 240, and On Point at 8 and 280. And this is the horse that we saw Terry Mosley pretty keen about when we spoke to him earlier. Stephen Hunt, as we get to you, is it about On Point, or is it about the Terry Rapier?
Oh, clearly around More Wecker, $4.50. As I mentioned at the top of the show, clearly the best back runner in the 9-race card at Riccarton today, Aidan, around More Wecker. Again, Lisa Allpress has the mount around this key runner. $4.50 when we posted on Thursday. Got a short as $3.60 this morning. It's even come in a couple of notches to $3.40 now, trading More Wecker. In front of Shinka Tatt'll Do. Now, interesting runner. We're prepared to lay this horse on the dead track conditions. If it'd come up maybe around that slow 7, slow 8, it might have been a different story. But around Shinka Tatt'll Do, we're willing to lay that horse currently in that second line of betting at $6.50. Clara in that third line of betting, well supported, 8 into $7.50. But outside that, there's not really too much to speak of. The like of Barabbas, Feeling the Love, 13 each of 2 have been friendless. So back to the favourite, number 10, More Wecker, is a strong lead.
Yeah, and probably lands on speed as well. Let's have a look at the speed map provided to us by formpro.co.nz. Pasita also getting forward from a close gate, and Zarista likely to press forward from a wider gate, I would have thought here, Greg, as well. Not a bad race to see some pretty handy sprinters going around.
Yeah, it's a deep race, isn't it? I settled with more Weka. Look, up until her last half a dozen runs, she didn't win out of turn clearly. She kept on finding one or two to beat her, but she's got a lot stronger and her last start performance was outstanding. Lisa rode on that occasion, has been back to the trials and beat Nakayama at the trials and did it nicely there too. So I think she's clearly the one to back here, and the punters are getting involved with her. Clara, the O'Reilly mare, another one that's strengthened up and continues to race well. So I think Terry Ray certainly has a great chance of Quinella-ing the race. Nowhere means my best value of the day, just because it doesn't seem to matter, Aidan, what type of race he's in. He's always there or thereabouts, and he loves Riccarton Park, and I think he was placed on this day last year as well. So I can see him being in the fight again, probably more for a place than a win. And I think Tat'll Do is much better than the last start performance, and back here at Riccarton Park I think she'll have a part to play as well, but more Weka, the one we'll go for in the third.
Okay, no love for On Point, but yeah, I'm with you on the Terry Ray pair as well. On to the fourth, the Farewell Prom Queen, 1,200 metres, where Suggestive looks 6 and 230, and what looks to be a very open market, Stephen Hunt.
Yeah, $6 the field, but there's a nice lead around number 3, Suggestive Looks. The 6-year-old mare by any suggestion opened at $8, was as high as $7 when we opened this morning at around about 8:15, and it's now, you see, a $6 loose favourite, but strong lead around Suggestive Looks with Jonathan Parks doing the riding. Funny Face on the warm support on the favourite has been a notable drifter, 6 out to 6.5. Cabernet, 7 out to 750. If there was one outside Suggestive Looks, keep a close eye on the market around number 2, Little Flick. Most inexperienced galloper in the field, only having the 3 race starts for a win and a placing, but Little Flick has been well spec'd at that double figure quote during the week at $11, now trading at 8.
That's interesting. Good money around some of those key runners there in the fourth, which doesn't look easy. We're going to ask Greg O'Connor to decipher it for us, and maybe getting a little bit of a lead through the early speed of Mimi Mac. Thoughts here, Greg?
Nightmare, Aidan. Really tough race, toughest of the day, no doubt. Each way magic note for me, Michael and Matthew Pittman, Tina Komanahi, very good third last time, ultra consistent, been a winner here at Riccarton Park. Think it could end up in the right spot and therefore be extremely hard to beat. Showing some love for Lance Robinson and his team here with Funny Face. She is another one that's strengthened up, and I'm sure she'll go a great race today. Her last start performance had a lot of merit in behind Sudatore, that was at Temaru. I like Funny Face today, certainly on an each way. Cabernet from the strong Anderton team with Jake Lowry continues to go good races, and I think Riccarton Park will certainly aid this mare by pins. And the other one I had in was Suggestive Looks. I just ruled a line through that last start, ultra consistent prior to that, and should have a part to play in race number 4.
Yeah, which is a difficult race, no question there, Greg. Race 5's a really intriguing one, and it's all about Buck Shellfish. You know, what is this horse going to deliver? And we just don't know. 260 about All About Magic, who has really, well, been the horse to follow in the 2-year-old ranks in the South, light up at 380, 142. And 650 about Buck Shellfish. We've seen the horse trimming from the opening quote, Stephen. Is that? Can you give us a reason why? Is there a bit of money, or is it just around respect?
No, down to money, Aidan clearly holds 4 times more money than either of the favourites in All About Magic, and light up does Buck Shellfish. They came in as soon as betting commenced during the week on Wednesday from memory at that $8.50 quote. Short of $7, I think, yesterday afternoon, now trading at $6.50, and shares that quote with our receipt. Just not sure if it's calculated money as it was when it was at Riverton and late scratching, comparing the field and the task it has today a few weeks ago at Riverton, but we'll soon see later on this afternoon. We could have a bit of an egg on our face if this horse does the job, and we've been hanging it out that $6 line for the majority of the week. But just back on the 2 favourites, All About Magic, best back runner and lead out of those top 2 in betting, off a peak of $2.90, now trading at $2.60, where light up has stayed solid at the $3.80. But the big talking point outside the 2 faves is obviously number 4, Buck Shellfish, in the first of our features today.
Yeah, and obviously it's a listed race, the Barclay Stud Champagne Stakes, but it's adding a real dimension to this race, isn't it? By having that unknown factor about Buck Shellfish, the Northern Visitor and Light Up, and also the hot favourite from from the local Pitman barn of All About Magic. The speed says All About Magic gets forward. Also says that Buck Shellfish might have a little bit, even though we haven't seen anything of this horse at trials or on a public basis. Greg, I'm really looking forward to the Champagne Stakes, and I think this be a bit of it is about this unknown from the Savin Kirkland.
Yeah, it certainly adds to it, doesn't it? The race day form is well and truly exposed via All About Magic. She's 2.5 kilos better off than she was last time when Trifolium had her measure, but she's pretty smart, All About Magic. Light Up again, spoke to Mike Breslin about him. Trip Away will do him the world of good, but he does like him, no doubt about that at all. Here's All About Magic, finishing second behind Trifolium. You remember the prior two runs back in January and February was too good for Miss Sweet Pea. It's a good form line. What I loved about All About Magic, she was clearly in need of this, Aidan, but she kept on finding the line. I think the winner is pretty smart, and from the CD I think we'll see a bit more of it, but she really tries hard, All About Magic, and she'll be much improved off this run. Basically 3.5 weeks or 3 weeks since that run will only have aided her recovery, and I think she'll give you a great sight here. In saying that, I think Light Up's performance first up was very, very good, and from what Mike has told me, I think it'll be extremely hard to beat. And a couple of us, Jason Tan and myself, have spoken to Sabin Kirkland this week. Cards close to the chest, yes. When I put it to him about the half to the last one, where does he sit? He said, he can gallop. That'll probably tell you enough.
And you just got to respect him. He's such a good conditioner of a horse as well. But it's an interesting race. Light Up's got that early speed as well. I can't wait for it. 1:52 start time for the 2-year-olds in the feature out of Riccarton today. Moving on to race 6. This one, the Angus Meets Great Autumn Premiere. Stepping up to 2,500 metres. D&G at 360 and 140 against Residential at 380, 142. 6.5 kilograms swing in the weights to D&G, and was pretty well spruiked by Jason Tan on the first call yesterday. Stephen Hunt, what's the money, Lee?
Yeah, they're pretty keen on Jason's tip here, number 3, D&G. Aidan, $3.60 you see there trading, just under $3 with Paul just shaving just under 2,300. They're just crunching again a few numbers here. D&G rated around about a 27% chance at that $3.60 current quote, but holds 60% of total turnover. So I do believe later on this afternoon it might touch closer to $3 and its current price at $3.60 when we get close to race start time around D&G. So if you do like this individual, don't be late in backing this horse. I'd say get on in the next hour or so around D&G at 3.6. In front of Residential, a big query over the 2,500 metres, 360 out to 380 punters, just noting that. And Diorissimo, interesting runner, could start that second line of betting as it stands third favourite, but does hold more money than the second favourite in Residential. And you might just get a form line around this individual earlier in the card, around the likes of Tony Two Chips, who contests one of the earlier races at rating 72 company. So that price might change depending on what that horse does earlier in the card.
Will be interesting because Greg was keen on Tony Two Chips, so it'll be interesting to see what he makes of the form leading into this. First, the speed map though. Residential getting forward, you'd expect D&G to be right on the speed as well, bringing that Cups form as well. And talking about Cups form, I heard a whisper that Oropuki Lad had an injury and hence why his defections here. So thoughts with connections there. Let's hope Oropuki Lad gets better quickly. But to you, Greg, in a really fascinating 2,500 metre event, who are you with?
She's 2 from 2 D&G, 2,600 metres of the Invercargill Cup. She finished second. We know she's finished second in the Wellington Cup, beaten a very short margin and won a great race in the Auckland Cup. She is by far and away the bet of the day for me. I'm not surprised she's into 360. I'm with Stephen. I think she will close about $3. The 2 kilo claim with Tanya Yonka, 53.5. There's so many ticks in all the right boxes here. This was her finishing third behind Who Dares Wins, who's just been in sublime form. Residential went great. I do have the trepidation about the 2,500. Who am I to question John and Karen Parsons, though? They're outstanding trainers, as we know, and they wouldn't be trying this unless they believed she would be able to get that distance. and she might not cop too much pressure, which will only aid her chances. Lisa All-Press rides, so that's a big tick in the box there. But I just can't get past the fact that D&G, when she steps to this level, we know she won the Metropolitan leading into the Cup as well, and potentially, Aidan, if she wins today, she might find herself heading to Australia to have a crack at a race that's an automatic entry race to the Melbourne Cup. More about that as the day unfolds.
Yeah, well, she really is an interesting runner, and she does have that record in the Good Cups races as well. But Residential, well, you just can't underestimate her class. Let's move you on to the 7th. This one, the David Emerson Accountant and Consultant Premier, 1,600 metres. Neeson comes up favourite at 4.20, 6.50 for Chopin, who's been in great form. Herengawi, $6, Just Push Play at 7.50 as well. Capricosta's an interesting runner at $7. What's the market push here, Stephen?
Overall, very solid market for the rating 82 Gallopers over the mile, Aidan. Hardly moved a price. If anything, we've notably drifted a few just to tighten up the overall percentage. Kicking off with Neeson, who sits at that top line of betting, 4.20, that was his opening line. Herengawi, 5.50 out to 6. Chopin, 7, got as high as 7.5, just bought back into $6.50 around Chopin. Capricosta, solid at 7s. Just Push Play, here's your market move in the middle market. I know I said earlier on, overall it's a very solid market, but if there was a slight lead, it would be around number 9, Just Push Play, $9 trading during the week, now short of $7.50. My question to you, Aidan, Lisa All-Press, did she have the choice around Herengawi and Just Push Play? Because as it stands right now, she's opted for Herengawi, but there's more turnover on the 9, Just Push Play.
I can tell you that Neeson was also on offer, Stephen, as well. So there's definitely Herengawi as a horse who she thinks might be comparisons with the Rosewood, and we know what Rosewood did last winter. So I think she's pretty keen on Herengawi. We get to you, Greg O'Connor, and what is a terrific race. This is a field with great depth, and it should be competitive.
It should be, and it will be a great form line race as well. But Herengawi first up here, Riccarton Park. Terrific performance, brave next time. I can see why Lisa's gone with him. He's the X-Factor horse, and if he reproduces either of those first 2 runs here, I believe he'll be taking this one out. You've got to remember, Aidan, that he carried 5 kilos more last time, so a huge advantage for him today for mine. Over Fire Lily, great first up. Lance Robinson, Corey Campbell, only the 52 kilos today, so very lightweight for him. She was second on this day last year, so races well at this time of year. Capricosta's a very interesting runner. Has been here to Riccarton Park before when, of course, trained by Dawn and Peter Williams. Fresh up, Neil Ridley, BB Hong. Yeah, we've seen that a few times over the last few months, so you've got to respect that as well. And then probably to the top, Chopin just keeps on winning, so don't be discounting his chances. But Herengawi for me.
Yeah, it's reflective, I think, of a terrific card, the 7th of the program. Let's move you on to the 2nd of the stakes races, and this one, the Daphne Banner Memorial Great Easter Stakes, where He Can Fly at 460 and 180. Defeated Prince Oz last time out. I'm surprised there's that much difference between them. 5.50 there. Kiwi Ida 4.80, the same race. Disturbance $6 was third in that same race. And outside that race, you're getting Dynamic at 8.50, Morabella at $9, Alfie at $10. Interesting, He Can Fly, but I guess it sort of reflects that there's really solid support here, Stephen.
Yeah, there is, and you tend to find that with a horse that has a picket fence form line around He Can Fly, who's looking to go 4 on the bounce. So if punters are reinvesting on that particular runner, and no surprise that they're doing that around He Can Fly, was as high as $4.80 during the week, now trading at $4.60 in front of Kiwi Ida. Now Kiwi Ida, nice little lead round here, even though it's a competitive market around Kiwi Ida. $5.50 for the 4-year-old mare on opening, now trading at $4.80 and holds 3 times more money than the second best bat runner, which happens to be the favourite, He Can Fly. Prince Oz, solid in that third line of betting, got as short as $5, just back out to its opening line of $5.50. That's only just happened the last 30 minutes. Disturbance, always well supported, 6.50 into 6. Dynamic has to come and bring that form to Riccarton. It's been quite friendless, can't write a ticket, 8 out to 8.5. And Morabella's been well supported and hovered around that 9.50 line. But the best lead happens to be the second favourite in Kiwi Ida, 5 into $4.80.
Yeah, that's interesting too. One thing we have a look at as we get to Greg O'Connor on this is just there's no speed in this race. The map says He Can Fly gets to the front, but there's no clear leader here, Greg. I just wonder whether that might be the undoing of some horses. How have you assessed this race?
Yeah, well, Jim Langan's made He Can Fly his best bet of the day, the racing manager here, and he's a pretty good judge, as is Neil Ridley. I found it hard to split the pair. I ended up going with Prince Oz. I think with luck and running, and Terry Mosley knows him well, I reckon he can win this race and win it at over the odds. He's done nothing wrong since coming south. He's a class animal, and even with the impost of 59.5, I think he's a terrific winning chance. He can fly for everything that everyone knows about him. He just keeps on winning. Disturbance is in wonderful form. Can't discount his hopes. Kiwi Ida you've talked about there. And the other one is Prosecco, who's down the bottom for Mike Breslin. Probably not a winning chance, but the horses here, they targeted this race to get some stakes race. Beautifully bred, this one, and they're hoping to pick up some black type today, and I reckon it's an outside trifecta in first for Hope, but I'll settle with Prince Oz.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Prince Oz isn't tighter as well. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one, Greg, as well. Let's move on to the last of the 9. This one, the Racecourse Hotel and Motor Lodge Premier. Market says King Kane at 550. That was second favourite when I first looked. Stephen, I thought it was it level with Carson River?
Level with Final Say, 650 each of 2 around King Kane and Final Say. King Kane solid at 550 now from that opening line of 6.5, where Final Say's got the drifts big time, out 2 full points, 650, now trading $8.50. King Kane, who got us big time 2 starts ago. They seem to be mapping these rating 72 races at the back end of the program, in particular the last race. So King Kane supporters, they're coming in again to finish off the day on the 9-race card at Riccarton. In front of Carson River, 750. Got a short as 650, just back out to $7. He's our secret, 750. Got as high as 8.5, back into $8. Final Say we've already touched on, 650 out to $8.50. Valentia Victoria's been well supported. 17s on openings, Aidan. Now trading that single figure line at $9, and the best of the rest is Trudeau at 11. But there's 6 or 7 that have been spec'd from betting commencing on Thursday right up to now. So I think you just ride your ticket and have a crack if you'd like one, because it's a fairly even go. But if there was a slight lead, Valentina Victoria is a market mover, but down in single dollars invested, number 4 King Kane.
Okay, interesting. It was good last time out too. I was keen on Final Sun, but concerned about that drift now. Speed maps making it a pretty tricky one. Greg, what do you like?
Yeah, great race the last, isn't it? Whether you've had a good day and you want to make some more, or you've had a bad day, you can get out here, because the favourite's going to start about $6. So, look, I went with King Kane. I reckon he's well placed again. He's such a tough horse. He'll be up on the speed and he'll take a heck of a lot of running down, so I'm with him. Final Say's got a great chance. Owen Patrick's the interesting runner, of course, out of the Corbett and Charles team, and I reckon if D&G wins earlier on, they'll be potentially going for a double here. So, yeah, I like Owen Patrick, even from the wide draw, it's in this. Carson River keeps on winning. He's our secret, might be the best blowout chance in the last. Very good contest, but I'll go with King Kane.
Okay, and the Simons involved in Owen Patrick too, and the Ellerslie run not too bad last time out. How are we playing the day? If we give you $100, how are you going to spend it?
I'm going to back D&G because I think she is the bet of the day, so I'll plonk $40 on her, Aidan, and I'm going to box up those 3 in the Champagne today, because it is, without doubt, the most interesting race from a betting perspective of the day. So box up those 3 in a $20 box, Quinella. I haven't had a great record doing this, Aidan, so I've kept it as simple as I possibly can. D&G, the best bet of the day, and Nowhere Man, the best value, probably more for a place than a winning prospect.
You're about to remedy that, I'm sure, Greg. Thanks for taking us through Riccarton. Can't wait for that first race as well. But in the meantime, we're going to get to Te Rapa to the north, and Brendan Popwell will take us through the action there. Also a listed 2-year race on the card there. Brendan, how are conditions where you are?
A little bit foggy, actually, Aidan, this morning, so things are just starting to clear a touch, but yeah, a classic morning in the Waikato, that is for sure, with just how conditions are here at Te Rapa. But yeah, a lot of excitement around today. Nothing like some good jumps racing. We see that here this afternoon with race number 2, a race to look forward to, because we're 2 weeks out from the Waikato Hurdles and Waikato Steeplechase, and that field is going to basically be the field, isn't it, with maybe some extra additions to the race, and of course the Ken and Roger Brown Memorial Steeplechase as well. And then, as you said, Aidan, Whiskey Neat, very short price favourite for the 2-year-old race here at stakes level, and of course Stephen Marsh trying to win it 5 years on end.
Yeah, exactly. And we're looking forward to getting your thoughts on that race as well, and on the jumps races as well, because there's a bit of mystery. Some of these horses haven't jumped this season, so we'll find out shortly. Let's have a look at the market for the first and get back to you, Brendan, after getting Stephen Hunt's market leads here on the early jumps races as well. Duffers Creek, 175, 112 comes up favourite. Looks to be the class act, although we haven't seen the horse over a fence publicly yet. I'm sure it has been with Kevin Myers, $6 George V, $7.50 Alright Guru, and $7 Markwood. 175, is that respect or money, Stephen Hunt?
Look, to be honest, Aidan, a little bit of both. $1.90 we opened on respect. He's won the 12 races. Set weights here 68, so he's got the job in terms of an advantage on the flats, whether he can jump, but with that Kevin Myers polish and Sean Fannin doing the riding, they're pretty confident he can kick on and maybe go through the grades over the sticks this winter in Duffers Creek. So a nice little lead to kick off the day at Te Rapa. $1.90 now, as short as $1.75. And that includes a $3,000 bet at $1.90 yesterday afternoon as soon as betting opened. So a nice little lead around Duffers Creek. Outside that, George V, $5.50 out to 6. Marwood, $6.50 out to 7. Alright Guru in that fourth line of betting has been the second best bet runner, but not really too much to speak of in terms of notable bets, 8 into $7.50. But all the rage is number 5, Duffers Creek.
Brendan, we come to you, and George V has placed in 3 of 5 hurdles. It's whether he's got that jumping experience that gives him the edge over Duffers Creek, but on flat ability, you'd have to go with the favourite, wouldn't you?
You have to, don't you, Aidan? I mean, it's a horse out of the right stable. He's got outstanding flat form, so you've got a terrific jump jockey aboard in Sean Fannin. So the formula's there. Isn't it, about this horse winning first time over the jumps in Duffers Creek? The respect is around, I think, certainly the 2 and Alright Guru. I would say right up there with possibly the hardest horse in New Zealand to follow is Alright Guru. But when he does get it together, he's a horse who is more than capable, as we've seen in some of the tasks that he's been set as a flat galloper. And his flat form, you consider what he did, what was it, 2-3 starts ago, he did run third behind Spring Delight, of course, in the same race that Willie John McBride ran second, and they were beaten a long way, but he has been recently placed. So I give him a chance of doing something in the race. He's had 5 starts over the jumps, Alright Guru. So yeah, I mark the 5 on top in Duffers Creek, hard to ignore. Then the 2 and the 1 with jumping experience from them. And then I look towards Markwood, runner number 8. Now, I was unable to attend the jumping trials at Cambridge, but certainly I've spoken to a number of people that were there on Tuesday morning. And Markwood's a horse who was at the jumping trials and was only beaten half a length, so a bit of respect around that horse, runner number 8.
Okay, let's move you on to the second, and you spoke about this open hurdle, the Signature Homes hurdle, over the 2,800 metres. Tom Mera at 4 and 142s, won 2 of 3 hurdles, has been going pretty well on the flat as well. Hazel Jazz 450, Perry Mason 450. Stephen, this must have been a difficult market to frame.
To say the least, Aidan. You see there, look at that, $4 the favourite, Tommy Ra. Rank outsider, Raj, $8.50 with the 7 horses going around. There was no lead up till probably about an hour ago, but they're pretty keen on number 1, Tommy Ra. That's why you see it favourite on its lonesome at a $4 price tag off a peak of $4.80. I think you could have got $4.60 when betting commenced this morning, Aidan. So there's your lead, Tommy Ray. Outside that, Hazel Jazz well supported. A recent hurdle trial winner, opened at $5.50, got as short as $4.50. I think it's a market you just keep a close eye on between now and race close if you want that guide in particular to this race, but maybe in 2 weeks' time for the Waikato hurdles. But if a slight lead, it would be Tommy Ra, 4.80 into 4.
Okay, we might have a look at this video as well and take in the running of, I think this is, what's this, Tamaranui Cup at Rotorua, and Tamira beats Ra this day. Was 4th in a Hawke's Bay hurdle as well, flat ability. Should be a winning formula just about, wouldn't it, Brendan?
Gee, I thought his run here last Saturday was very good behind Desert Storm tomorrow. Now, this is a race that was won, as you said, yes, on Tamaranui Gold Cup Day, beating Banbury Lad. Now, Banbury Lad has set the benchmark early at Riverton, winning 2 hurdle races so far in 2019. Well, Tamira gets the upper hand late here on Banbury Lad, and third in this race is Raj, who is a race day rival. He runs up to this form. This could be the best form guide you could find from last season. Hazel Jazz is another horse who did do a good job last season as well, and it was at the very end of his jumping campaign when winning on Jumps Day. I remember this time last year, Hazel Jazz came here to this particular race with an almighty big spruik because he won by almost 2 laps of the jumping trials track at Cambridge, and he just got it all wrong here 12 months ago when he just pulled a little bit too hard on running. He gradually built throughout the season with a bit of flat racing and some jumps racing, and this is his jumps day victory when last over the fences. So he's been to the jumping trials, he's had a flat run. He is the horse that I'm probably most concerned about in the race. He's All Jazz. Marked the 1 on top in Tamaya in front of number 2, He's All Jazz. Nothing trivial. Now, this horse did win on this day back in 2017, so he hasn't had a jump start since the Waikato Hurdles in 2017, but he was impressive when he did win the maiden hurdle in 2017. In his flat runs, he's been up and running, and that's a key point to him being a chance in the race. And that could be the same for Willie John McBride, as I said, with the R-Right Guru form line. But yeah, I went with 1 to beat 2, 7, threw in the 8 Raj for 4th.
Yep, it's a good lead on that Banbury lad too. I do like that. Moving on to the first of the flat races, the third, and this one the thanks for the support, BGP 1200, where Short Fuse looks to back up that win last week, 340, and Salt Bay at 380. I like Malambo a bit here, Stephen. Any push for it, 650?
Yeah, I'm super keen on the 3-2 Malambo. I thought 650 was a safe price, but on comes Des Coppins on Radio Trackside this morning to label it as his each way of the day Malambo, so that represents as a decent liability with his followers around Malambo, who excuse me, will be well suited by the on-speed of number of 2 or 3 runners here and should get a dream run from the ace draw. But back to number 6, Short Fuse. I was cheering this horse home against Prince Hareem 7 days ago, Aidan. It won't be happening today. A decent liability around Short Fuse to go back-to-back a 7-day back up. $4 you could have got on, I think, as late as yesterday afternoon, now trading at $3.40. So there's your lead around Short Fuse. Salt Bay looking to go 3 on the bounce now, $3.80. That is its opening line and well supported, don't get put off. Malambo I've already touched on at 6.5. Merlini's got the shove out the window, 6 out to 7. A little bit of specking around Rock the Bank, who won a trial recently over 1,000 metres, even though it's a rank outsider, currently a losing liability at $18.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, Malambo with winning form at Randwick and Moonee Valley might be good enough for Tarapa, but Salt Bay's been going really well, and sounds like BP that Short Fuse paid for the drinks at Petone last week. So what do you reckon?
Wow, yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that he was cheering for Short Fuse. Yeah, thank you for that, Stephen, for bringing that up. It was 7 days ago, and I only just forgot about that race yesterday. So, yes, here is the speed map, and look, there's a stack of speed in it, which I agree with you guys. I think it sets it up for Malambo to be able to get that sweet trip. Races well here at this venue, does Malambo, and a chance to just be able to camp off it. Look, there's horses like Melini in here who loves to go forward. Joyanna's another speed demon in the race as well. Look, that was meant that Salt Bay got that right run here when last when last winning to the races. Does have to step up and grade here this afternoon as well. So let's go to Short Fuse's win when winning here back on the 27th of April. And this was her when she found that leading position. Look, to be honest with you, I don't think Prince Hareem would have beaten Short Fuse with how this horse did win, but he certainly would have run into the first 3. He's missed the kick and he's out wide and he's finishing on into 4th position. This horse rails like a greyhound when turning for home, does Short Fuse, and she was too good. She was the one that was up and ready and did everything correctly to win the race. So this is a different kettle of fish though today, isn't it, with where we sit with obviously going up in grade and with a few more speed runners up front. Let's go to another race that I want to show you, and it's around Salt Bay. Also, as I said, the defeat of Melini. Melini was undone here by the horse on the outside of him on this occasion, and it just meant it set up for a speed duel, and Salt Bay was just able to camp off them and finish off strongly over the top. So, as I said, it's going to be interesting to see just what happens today with Melini, because this is when he's at his best, when he's up front and rolling and really trying to kick along. But there are some other runners in this race who'd like to do something similar as well. But Salt Bay's in a nice piece of form, and she closes strongly in the race. I went with Malambo as my top selection in the event because of all the reasons I've spoken about with the hot tempo and where this horse is drawn and does have an outstanding record round here at Tarapa. I went 3 on top in front of 5, 6 and 8.
Okay, let's move on to the steeplechase event. It is the Ken and Roger Brown Memorial Steeplechase. It's been a good race over the years as well, and should be a good lead up into the Waikato Steeples as well. The Arabian Duke has shown plenty of steeplechase ability, 361.42. Shamal's last year's Grand National Steeples winner. You're getting the names Bond with respect. Magic Wonder's unbeaten in 2 steeples as well. What's the market lead here, Stephen Hunt?
They like 2 horses here, a couple horses that have had 2 flat runs this preparation leading into this assignment. One of them being the favourite, number 3, the Arabian Duke, trading at $3.60 off a high of $4. And number 7, Magic Wonder, who won 2 on the bounce at the end of last preparation over the steeples, looks to be a real progressive chaser as we go through the early stages of winter around Magic Wonder. Opened at $5.50, got as high as $6.50, now back into $6. So the Arabian Duke and Magic Wonder, they're the 2 that stand out in early trading. Again, a market you just want to keep a close eye on between now and race close, with just a little bit of a lack of turnover overall. Okay,
Brendan Popple sure to have done his steeplechase homework, and he might have been out steeplechasing himself to get ready for today's outing at Te Rapa. The name is Bond, getting on speed. It is an unknown though, isn't it? Because these horses have got to be fit for, what, 3,900 today, Brendan?
They do. Look, the name's Bond is a horse that he loves to do that job out in front, doesn't he? He's a horse who just loves Te Araha with an unbelievable record around that venue. We're going to go back to that venue as well, and it was the last jumping race for 2018. And it was won by the Arabian Duke. Of course, that was the Waikato Hunt Cup through the early part of the spring, of course, on Jumps Day out of Te Araha. The Arabian Duke won this race, and he showed on this occasion and on this day that he's a horse to mark down for 2019. His win in a maiden steeplechase around Trentham as well, he's got it. I think he's got the ability to really test him this season and be a leading light over the bigger fences for the McQuades. Emily Farr does the handling of this runner, has been to the jumping trials on Tuesday, and he's had a nice hit out there, and he's had 2 flat runs to get himself ready. This was over the distance of 4,250 metres on a track condition that was rated a slow 7, so it wasn't in that heavy 10, heavy 11 bracket through the middle of the winter. The track was starting to come back, so dominant victory from the Arabian Duke. More Wonder, Magic Wonder is a horse we want to have a look at now. Now this horse, as we heard from Stephen Hunt, did win 2 on the bounce and has had 2 flat runs to get herself ready, the daughter of 8th Wonder. And this was on Great Northern Day when she was able to win this in a 0-1 win steeplechase. And again, she's a horse that's in that same boat of just announcing herself on this day that she's a horse to follow going into the 2019 jumping season. And look, a good dominant win, been able to chase down Windermere Lad on this occasion and made good steady progress heading into that last fence. And Magic Wonder then knuckles down into her work to pick up the victory. So I've gone with the 3 over the 7. I like the Arabian Duke here this afternoon. In front of the 2 in Shamal, of course, a terrific season from this horse last campaign, winning the Manawatu steeplechase and also the Grand National, and ran 3rd in the Great Northern, did Shamal, and then respect, of course, around number 1 in the name's Bond.
Yep, difficult race, and we'll get more of a line towards Waikato Steeples in a couple of weeks' time at Te Rapa. Really looking forward to one of the big days of Waikato racing for then. In the meantime, we move you on to the 5th of the card here, and this one is the BCD Group 2,200 metres, where Bobby D, who is headed towards a Queensland Derby, is at 4 and 175. Artiste is 650. Does look like still a good value bet. And the other Queensland Derby aspirant is Hassabro, as we scroll down and get prices there. How do the 3-year-olds compare here? $6 about Hassabro here, Stephen.
Punters coming strong for the 2 3-year-olds here. Aiden, number 11, Bobby D, and number 13, Hassabro. Both come out of the championship stakes, running 3rd and 4th respectively. And at the moment, they match dollar for dollar. So some good confidence around the 2 3-year-olds to beat the older horses. Bobby D, $4.40 into $4, and Hassabro, 8 during the week. Got as short as $7 this morning, now trading at 6 high around Hassabro. Artiste in that 3rd line are betting rock solid at $6.50. Katy Perry didn't mind this horse back over a trip. Forget it went around 1400, far too short. Was good enough to run 4th in a Dunstan final earlier this preparation. Solid at $8.50. Chasu Bell Yeah, punters slowly getting tired of this horse. There has been a bit of a money muncher around Chasu Bell. $9 was as short as 8.5. Al Harim's an interesting runner, even though on the drift, 8 out to 9.50. I see plenty of gear changes around this horse. Maybe the stable still learning around this important Al Harim. And Suleiman, I know there's a big syndicate involved in this particular horse, but money on Suleiman, 14 into 11. But the good talking point and the lead is around the 3-year-olds to beat the older horses.
Yeah, it is interesting. Artiste against the 3-year-olds as we look at the speed map. Brendan Popwell, how did you see that clash?
Look, I'm with the 3-year-olds as well, Aidan. I think they play a big part in this race. Obviously, you've got Jochen Rindt, who's a horse who's going to be maybe more steady, moving towards those jumping races for Jochen Rindt, but he's a horse that always loves to roll forward and be up front, as does Volante. So they are the two speed makers in the race. Interesting what No Change does in the race as well. I know that the horse only won a jumper's high weight last time to the races, rated around $20. But I was with the 3-year-olds. I thought Bobby D and Hassabro, they mapped nicely, and they could be the ones that are closing off strongly before heading towards Queensland. Let's go to their runs. When last presented, of course, it was in the championship stakes around Ellerslie, when finishing 3rd and 4th respectively behind Lord Arthur for Bobby D. And then, of course, you've got Artiste as well, who was winning 2 starts ago, beating Falar. So let's have a look at the championship stakes first of all, when these two horses finished into 3rd and 4th. Where, look, Hassabro is a horse who's back on the inside and makes up very good ground on them and behind. Of course, we see Intrigue today, who just bursts on them here. You wanted to be on Intrigue if you were sort of watching that runner, and then Lord Arthur just comes from nowhere, an explosive turn of foot out wide to win this race. Intrigue's a horse, though, I like for the Queensland Oaks. But anyway, more about this race. Bobby D and also Hassabro, they finish into 3rd and 4th position, do those two runners. And they finish the race off nicely. Let's go to Artiste. All right, and we'll won't look at Artiste, but as I said, this horse did beat Falar 2 starts ago to the races, and was certainly able to stick on strongly in the Manawa 2 breeders. So I went with the 2 3-year-olds, 11 to beat 13, and then number 3, Artiste into the mix. And yes, Chaosu Bao, the pork bun. His pork buns are starting to get very expensive. I threw him in for 4th.
Yeah, I've got him in the mix as well today, but yeah, might be getting a little bit stale, mightn't they? Filar goes around in Australia today as well, so do look out for him in that Brew Stakes at Flemington. Feature of the day is the 6th of the program. It is the Waikato Equine Vet Centre Stakes. Whiskey Neat at 2 and 124, $6.50 about Rainbow Dash, Folk Dress and Ramazotti at $8. Stephen, all about Whiskey Neat?
Absolutely, Aidan. As I mentioned at the top of the show, or we reiterate what I mentioned there around Whiskey Neat. I think it was $2.10 at the top of the show, now trading at $2, rated a 50% chance now on option 697, but holds around about 70% of turnover, so I've got no doubt it'll start in the red. It's just whether that bottom price ends up around Whiskey Neat. Clearly the best bet runner would have a number of 4-figure bets. Rainbow Dash, also a market mover, $7.50 into $6.50 this morning. Folk Dress, 5 out to $6.50 notably. The money, there's more money on the stablemate number 2 and Louis Luck, and that includes a $2,000 bet at $10, but we're happy to keep its price currently in that 4th line of betting. Outside that, there's not really too much to speak of. I know there's a fair few first starters as well. They're quite friendless. It's all about number 1 Whiskey Neat in the listed feature today.
Yeah, it was terrific at the trials as well leading in. Let's have a look at the speed map. Expect it to land on speed, but there's oodles of speed around Rainbow Dash as well. Our sponsors on TPL Live, Valachi Downs, have Kurt and Bronte Beach in action. Best of luck to them, but for me, Brendan, as Stephen suggests, it's all about Whiskey Neat, the feature.
It is, isn't it? I mean, the speed is interesting in this race. I think the horse drawn right out on that map as well could play a part if they want to try and light it up, and that being King Midas. They did exactly that at Mudda from an outside gate. They were able to tear across the field, and it actually was enormous to run second behind Folk Dress. We'll show you that very shortly. This horse, though, does have a torrent of speed, though, doesn't he? Whiskey Neat. He's got runs on the board. They're decent runs, too, because he found himself winning a Group 3 Eclipse Stakes before going into the Karaka Million as the favourite. This is his trial where this should clean him up very nicely. It was last Friday around Te Teko over the 800 metres, and Race Day Rider was aboard here as well in Michael Coleman. Nicely held together, challenged, and then slipped a little bit more leather, and he gets it done. And you would suggest that off the back of that, it's going to put him in a prime position to have him ready for this race, Whiskey Neat. But there has been horses like Folk Dress and also Louis Luck that have been up and running. Now, this is the race I want to show you because King Midas, as I said, has been able to tear across them and find a lead position and ends up running second, which was an enormous run, I thought, from King Midas. So surely they look to try and do something similar again because of how quick he's come out of the barriers. And then Folk Dress has just camped off them, swooped on by and wins the race. I thought Louis Luck in this race was very nice as well, considering this was over 1,000 metres. He drew bad. They were always going to ride the horse cold for one last run, and he did hit the line strongly out wide into 5th position. He has a bit of barrier draw here this afternoon with Opie Boston aboard and the tongue tie on that runner here today. I was with the 1 in Whiskey Neat in front of the 8, and that being Folk Dress. The 2 in Louis Luck, I did like that run when last presented to the races. I could have thrown a number of different horses into 4th here. I did go with Ramazzotti, who did win by jumping and getting to that coveted spot around Pukekohe Park. But if King Midas does something similar again, what about Kurt? I know the money was on Kurt first up to do something, got back in that race as well as drawing an inside gate. So keen around Whiskey Neat, maybe try and play some multiples around some others to try maybe fill the 3rd and 4th spot.
Yep, same numbers in exactly the same order for mine there, Brendan, as well. Let's move you on to the 7th, the J-Swap 1600, where Flying Grand comes up a 460 favourite. Stephen, what's the money lead here?
We should say, there's been plenty of ramifications around races 7, 8, 9 with key scratching / deductions. 17% deduction in your bets prior today. I'll just pinpoint a couple. Number 3, Forodin, who was super unlucky last start, 3-4 wide without cover, still had the audacity to finish 5th. That's been your market mover. Opened $13 during the week. $10 was its price this morning after scratchings, now trading at $7.50. And Eleanor Rigby well supported in that 3rd line of betting at 6.5.
Okay, yeah, Stephen Hunt, we move from you to Brendan Popwell and have a look at the speed map first. Brendan, with Beat Jazz Bro going forward along with Hot Saki and Forodin as well. You got to push for one here.
I do. I liking Flying Grand here, Aidan. The horse goes up to the 1,600 metres. Barrier draw for sure is niggly. It's drawn out in barrier number 11, but you do have the whole back straight to be able to try and find that position. Does Troy Harris. We saw some speed from the horse. Been able to draw up reasonable, obviously, at Wanganui and was put in the race, and he won like a horse who can go through the grades. And Shane Crawford spoke about that post-race as well, that he does have a pretty firm belief in this guy's ability as well. So I'm liking him going up to the 1,600 metres and Flying Grand. Outside of that, there's a number of horses you can play into here. I thought Moccasin was okay in a trial where there was sort of 3 of them dashing at them late. Ross McCarroll's got an unbelievable strike rate as a trainer, so I thought that might have been needed to be in the mix as well, along with the 14 and Friday Wolf, who could be an improver out of the race, and big respect around Forodin also running number 3.
Okay, yeah, on to race 8, and here's the market for this one. The pathway is the Immigration Specialist 1600, ignored at 350 and 155. The horse has shown plenty so far, Stephen. What's the market say?
Yeah, again comes out of that key championship stakes and finished 5th. Back in trip to 1600, not putting off punters. $4.20 on opening during the week. Now trading at $3.50. Clearly the best lead over the 1,600 metres against the older horses ignored. Zenvo, who's been doing the business, won 2 of its last 3, well supported, 7 into 5.5. A little bit of specking around Master Payton. Opie Boston does the riding, 8.50 into 7 this morning. A couple that have specced at longer odds. Grand Rio, second up beneficial here for punters, they believe. $18 on opening, now trading at 14. And even Lookout, I think, is one a recent jump out, has been specced at longer odds at $51. But remember, there is a key scratching in Paisley Park, who was second favourite prior to today, and there will be an 18% deduction.
Okay, to you, Brendan, how'd you see this?
Look, I like Master Painter in the race, Aidan. Her runner number 7, drawn in barrier number 1. Look, is a horse who doesn't have the early speed, but has a great chance maybe to take a spot, maybe 3 back the fence, get in a good position. This horse sectionally was terrific out of Ellerslie when last presented. Came home in 33.5 for the last 600 at Master Painton. He's a handy customer. Look, I know he's only won 2 from 19, but he's been 7 times second, has this horse. I've marked it on top, the 7 Master Painton at a pinch of value. In front of the 12 Ignored in that video we showed you, of course, with Bobby D and also Hassabro running 3rd and 4th. Ignored was hitting the line into 5th position. Then Pep Talk, the Waipokoro visitor, to finish into 3rd position. He has to be respected in this market as well. And I threw the 13 into numbers as well in Zembo. But I marked Master Painton as a nice value bet here today.
Okay, Brendan, we'll have a look at the market for the last day with us and we'll get you straight in here because we are getting close to Riccarton. Ginger King was good last time out, 460 and 190 and scoring at Te Aroha. How did you see this one?
Yeah, Ginger King, yeah, like it. I think in a very open sort of way to finish. I thought this horse won a strong maiden race around Te Aroha. Gee, there's going to be form out of that race. And I know, again, Barry draws is very niggly for the horse, but he might be good enough to overcome it. I marked it on top, 5 on top. Front of the 4 and Copper Mine, who's going to set them up in front. He's a very speedy horse. He's fresh up today. Troy Harris is aboard. The 10 in the race as well, and Pims and Pearls, and also through the 12 into the mixture as well, and Imperious. But 5, 4, 10 and 12.